you, and we're recording, and we're getting somewhere.
We've just tried for maybe the past hour almost to try to do some tech issues.
I know, but also you like some of the music I sent over.
Yeah, I think that's good intro music. I mean, they're going to hear it before, but we've also just heard that recently. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I think it's quite, what did I tell you? It was like Good Omens. It reminded me of that.
Good. There is a bit of a delay, isn't there, when we're speaking?
A slight delay, yeah.
So we should start by welcoming people to this brand new podcast where we're going to be looking at lots of things that are scare related, scare attractions, scare movies. We'll take suggestions of other things that people want us to have a look at. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's like, we love horror films. We love scare attractions. Love going through horror mazes, and we've worked a lot in scare attractions as well. And we also have kind of different backgrounds and different experiences, I think, from scare attractions, because like I was an actor, performed in them, and then I worked in production, and then I was building the sets and saw it work in a different way. And I think I have an appreciation for that sort of work as well, which I think, and hopefully this year we end up going through kind of scare attractions this year as well, especially looking at the ones that have been kind of nominated for ScareCon and stuff. That's just happened recently when recording this. But so I think it's always really cool.
Now I need to stop you there because you've leapt ahead and no one knows who you are.
Whoa! Oh my god, yeah, so true. I don't really know. I mean, yeah. Oh, my name's Dooner, hence the name of the Doonerverse. But yeah, background in scare attractions. I guess started in 2016. I was in Blair at Thorpe Park, and then so that was the Blair Witch Maze, the IP one. And then I was in Big Top. Then I continued until I think around must have been 2022. Yeah, 2022. I kind of did Creek Freak, the Crows, and then I was a scare captain, show captain, whatever you call it, for the Crows. And then I kind of stopped after that. And then I think my favourite mazes, if I had to pick my top one, probably Cabin in the Woods at Thorpe. Like, I just thought that was such a well done maze. I just thought it was really good. And dislikes, I don't really have anything to say, really. Apart from, I don't know. I'm not a fan of hooded mazes. I just find them very boring, I guess. But I can understand how people find them scary. But yeah. So that's my dislikes. But yeah, I mentioned before, kind of worked in production, and I have an appreciation for the props and the scenic elements that go into it as well. I think that really adds just massive to the atmosphere. But yeah, spent a lot of time at Thorpe Park, like 10 years there. But yeah, that's my background, and my likes and my dislikes and stuff. And yeah, what about you, Loz?
Well, first of all, yes, I'm Loz. I don't have the same history in scare attractions that you do, but I'm fascinated by them. I really like what I've seen so far. People have probably deduced by now that I'm considerably older than you, and my interactions with scare attractions go back to the early 90s when I was lucky enough to be in Orlando in Florida, and I went to Nightmare on Church Street, which was a forerunner of scare attractions. Also around that time, the early 90s, I helped build Terror Tomb at Chessington World of Adventures, which was quite a horror dark ride. It's still there under a different guise. It's now called Tomb Blaster, and it's a lot more family orientated. But when we built it, it was quite something. I have worked in the scare industry. I was in the Vile Village at Chessington World of Adventures 2 years ago. And I've done various bits and pieces, including a Halloween cabaret last year, where the scariest thing was when people got to hear me sing. And yeah, I'm looking forward to immersing myself in this world. I have tentatively written a outline for a scare attraction and scare actor booklet to try and help people break into the industry. And it's very generous of you to say you don't have many pet hates. I have got so many. So I can't wait over the coming weeks, months, years perhaps to tell everyone exactly what I don't like and what I do like. And I'll start by saying what I really like in scaring in general is a really decent story. That for me is the cornerstone of everything else. The costumes, the makeup, the types of scare, perhaps the lighting, everything sits in amongst an amazing story. So good narrative, that's me. My favourite so far, I mean, I went to Tully's last year and loved pretty much all of it. I think there was a maze called Coven 13. I think that blew me away. And Hellerman's, I was surprised that someone putting a bag over my head and me following a rope that I couldn't see through a maze I couldn't see would be quite so effective. So very interesting. So what are we going to be exploring over the next coming month or two, Dooner? Tell everyone.
Well, we're going to be looking at, currently all the horror films. Unless you've been living under a rock, like all the horror films have been coming out, and they're doing pretty good. I mean, one of the horror films has kind of overtaken one of the Star Wars films in terms of box office. So that's pretty interesting. So there'll be a lot to talk about on that. Horror films this year has kind of started off really strong. Also, a lot of the scare news hopefully should be starting to kind of come out in the next few months. In terms of things like Fright Nights and what Chessington and Lego sort of have planned, Big Merlin ones as well, but also all the other scare attractions as well, which hopefully we'll be able to visit around maybe September and Halloween time. So we'll be kind of talking about the lead up on that, and and we haven't actually spoken about ScareCon properly, but yeah, the awards for that were great. I went to it. It was a lot of fun. The group that I went with, we did like a pop-up escape room, which I thought they did really well. So I kind of helped build that and run that as well. And they did a really good job. But yeah, there's quite a lot to talk about in terms of, Halloween's actually not realistically that far. Like in terms of when you think about all the setup and the prep.
And some of the ads are out. They're recruiting actors as of now, these places. And it's worth saying that every year there are some returners we know that produce excellent results every year. But also there are so many new ones popping up. Halloween is bigger than ever, and it's only going to keep going the same way. So this industry, whilst it has grown magnificently over the last few years, it is still growing. Just look at how big it is in the States, the haunt industry. Google Haunt on YouTube, and your next 10 years of watching is taken care of.
Yeah, that's a good series. What is it called? The 17 Spook Show. Spook Show?
Spook Show, the 17th Door. Yes,
17th Door.
we
what a series!
we'll do.
If you haven't seen that,
Well, we need to talk about. We need at least one episode to talk about that.
That's actually a really good point.
It's one of the most remarkable scare mazes you'll ever come across. Run by, let's just say some very interesting people, and they have a reality show which they say, and I'm inclined to agree, is the best reality show ever put together. And it's the background, but it includes, interestingly enough, the numbers behind this scare maze and the money they spend and the money they make. So for those Excel spreadsheet nerds, there's some fun to be had with that as well. But maybe we should talk about before. They are. Oh yeah. Well, maybe we should talk about just really before we start and look at the films that are currently out, about why we like being scared. It seems paradoxical, really, but obviously people get a real thrill out of it. What are your main takeaways? Why do you look forward to going to mazes, and what do you want to get out of it personally?
I don't know. I guess horror is just a very thrilling genre. It kind of fills you with adrenaline when you go in. It's the I think there's a lot of appreciation with it, like, rather than just sort of being scared, like in terms of from the actors and stuff. Like, I feel like it's the atmosphere that it creates. It's kind of a very different. It's a very much more like, even like not just like scare mazes, but films as well. Horror genre feels more interactive, I suppose, than any other genre. Like, a lot of genres, it feels like you kind of just sort of watch, experience, but horror has like a very, I don't know, internal adrenaline, like, how to explain? Like, it feels very interactive. It feels way more like it's something that pulls you in. It's just much more engaging. And I think that's why people kind of like to be scared. I feel like there's like a real sort of different type of communication with the horror genre. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's and it's very difficult. I think it's quite a high skill, I think, to be able to do. And I think when working in it as well, you kind of get a lot of appreciation for a good scare. So yeah,
I think the same can be said about horror films, as scare mazes. Is that when I've watched a good horror film, it has affected me more than watching a rom-com or a historical piece, perhaps. So at the end of a film, I feel I might have achieved something. And certainly, if it's a good horror maze or a good horror escape room, there is a sense of achievement.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you've let out some emotion. You've been frightened, which often leads to laughter. And scare mazes particularly are shared experiences. And maybe in this more insular world we live in, where we're on social media and we're not perhaps interacting with people as much as we could, it's a lovely thing to go and share something. And the pressure and the adrenaline buzz of a scare maze, again, comes back to that feeling of achievement. Also, going back to the spreadsheets, if you've been sat behind a PC all day, it's escapist, because in the evening you can head into a vampire themed scare maze and in your own head you're Van Helsing, and you're going to go and deal with this potential threat. So I think there's that to it for me, and the physicalness of endorphins, that rush you get when your body releases this. Originally you've got fight or flight. Your body doesn't know, your mind knows, but your body doesn't know that what's in front of you isn't completely real. So you still get the fight or flight reflex that has preserved mankind all these years. So I think, but for me again, it's shared. And also that goes for working in a scare maze. The camaraderie and the teamwork and just the in-jokes that arise. And again, the sense of achievement, because it's also a very tiring industry. You can be yelling and climbing and crawling and skidding for 8 hours a day. So to go through that with people is a lovely experience. And please, I want you to appreciate I've not used the word banter.
No, I think you're right. Like, it's the camaraderie and the feeling. I don't know, like, it's kind of really difficult to explain, but if you've worked in a scare maze, then you just completely get it. Like, you get the group feeling, the fun and the enjoyment, and like people even said it in that documentary of Spook Show 17. People are like, I can't believe I get paid for this, to scare people. Like, and that's where I think you're right. It's a shared experience between two people. People love this feeling of scaring and offering that enjoyment and fun. And the audience love being scared, because it's escapism. In such
and some people,
way,
and you and I know plenty between us, mutual friends, but equally others as well. We know people that live for Halloween. We know people that would enjoy Christmas more if there were slightly more zombies and vampires involved, and slightly less mistletoe and holly. So, and also we're lucky enough where we are in this sort of London conurbation to have around us enough haunts and scare mazes. We've got the London Dungeon, there's Madame Tussauds, there is bits and pieces at Thorpe Park that people can work in this industry for the whole year. And there is no shortage of people that want to do exactly that. And if you find your tribe, and it is an exciting tribe to be part of, then that's a lovely thing too. I think we should say at this point as well that it won't just be you and I rattling on about our experiences. We're going to bring in some haunt and scare attraction experts in all different fields. We'll certainly have some actors in, but some scare maze designers, some scare attraction critics, judges for various publications as well. So yes, we will, and also, as you said, some tech people to talk about different tech. I'm particularly keen at some point that we talk about over the next month or so IP, intellectual property, and the use of intellectual property in scare attractions. I yesterday, for some reason, found myself watching Popeye the Slayer Man, who is now public domain. Poor old Popeye. So maybe it's not long before we get a Popeye scare maze. So I'm keen to hear people's ideas of what works and what doesn't with IP. And also, we're going to do a bit of a dive into public domain. What can be legally used? So we now know Popeye's public domain, and the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse is public domain, and because of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, we know Winnie the Pooh, or aspects of Winnie the Pooh, I should say, are public domain. But there's also a lot of music that could possibly be free to use, and maybe even some writing that people can take from to create their scare attractions, also in the public domain. And of course, as well as IP and PD, we need to talk about AI and the effect that might have on our industries, good and bad. I think there's a place for it. I don't think as a society we know where that place is yet, and we're feeling our way. Maybe we're being let down by the people that govern us because they seem to be not dealing with this as quickly as perhaps they should be. But I'd certainly like to look at AI, its possible positive uses, and we'll talk to some people, I'm sure, who really don't think we should be touching AI in any shape or form.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Like when we were at the Scarecon, I think I mean, I could be incorrect, but from my recollection, I think every trailer that was shown in the sort of breaks, apart from Tully's, I'm pretty sure, but every other trailer was made by AI, which I thought, I don't know, don't really know if I don't really, I guess I don't have any. Go on.
So you're saying the actors in the trailers were not real actors, or were they not real scenarios? What part was AI?
So for example, there was one there's two that I remember distinctly. I the first one, to be honest, I have no idea what really it was. I was a bit confused. It was kind of like, it looked like an escape room. It looked like one of them things. So it was two people. They were AI people. So they weren't real. They were AI generated. They were in a cafe and they were given like government documents, and then it showed them like traveling around London, I think, with these government documents, and then going to different rooms and looking at, like, all of it was fake though, like, not as in like none of it was filmed by a camera, it was all AI. And then there was like a fake explosion while they were running away, and that was the experience. To be honest, I was a bit lost. I mean, I imagine it was one of them, like, oh, you get given like a thing and you kind of Sherlock Holmes it, you detect. And then the other one that I remember, it was a maze called Granny, and it was weird because they showed real footage of their scare maze at the end, but the entire trailer was AI generated, and it was of a granny doing like dumbbell weightlifting, like, and she was screaming at the camera, and then she was like running around, like, and she was just this really nasty granny, but she was all AI. She wasn't real.
All they had to do was ask me, and I would have played that granny for them.
I was like, I was like, there's a lot of people in this room that would have happily have done like some weird, funny, like, stuff like that, where sometimes I feel like because it was AI, it didn't make it that funny. I don't know if that's harsh to say, but the humor kind of got lost because it wasn't a real person, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like it was meant to be a very comical sort of trailer in a way, like sort of comedy horror sort of. That was the vibe it kind of gave anyway. And I think like some of the comedy just didn't quite hit because I was like, well, it's not a real person. Where if it was a real person doing that, I thought that would have been quite funny. I find it difficult
to believe that was a
funny,
artistic choice that they were happy with, that anybody would be happy with. People are shooting full movies on their phones these days, and as we've said before, there is no shortage of people that want to put on the makeup and go a bit crazy. Well, what do I know? Maybe it'll be interesting to talk to people that that did this. Let's see if we can get them in, and but
I think that's what I said to I mean, so sorry, someone I went with, I said to them, like, I was really surprised. I think I was surprised at how many AI trailers there were. Like, I wouldn't have thought, like, it was every trailer. I'm pretty sure was like AI, apart from Tully's. They didn't do AI. But I would like to hear from why they chose to do AI. Not because it's like a bad thing. Like, it's not like I don't want to shun them to be like, how dare you use AI. But like, I'm just curious, like, what made them, like, did they feel that looked better quality? Because I actually don't think it did in for that benefit, if that makes sense. Like, I think there were some benefits of it.
Did it make you want to visit their scare maze?
No, because it wasn't showcasing, I guess, what it was. Maybe, I mean, it did at the end, but those are the bits I enjoyed. Was it because there were real people, like, tripping up traps and stuff, and that was fun. And to be honest, that would have, just that last bit would have been a better overall trailer, I think. But yeah. But AI is, I was speaking to somebody a few weeks ago. People love using AI because it's cheap, it's quick. That's everything a business wants: cheap and quick. Everybody wants things.
That perhaps brings us on to one of these films that is doing remarkably well at the moment, Backrooms, which creates physical sets but also enhances them with something called Blender. Is Blender something you know anything about?
Yeah, it's well, I use Blender because I do 3D printing, but a lot of people use Blender for animations and creating, like, I suppose, like, animation modeling sets as well. So yeah, a lot of the scenic or shots that they use in Backrooms, they're all most of them are practical sets that they've all built themselves, which is really cool. And I think, yeah, integrating Blender into it, it's, yeah, I thought it was really good. And I think today, actually, I saw the director was doing an interview, and he said, I have no intention of adding any AI to, I think, any of the films he plans to do. And he's quite a young director as well, you know.
Sorry, that's my Alexa telling me the bar's open.
I was like, the bar?
I mean, let's pick up on that point specifically. When you say quite young, he shot this last year in 2025.
Yeah.
But it's based on his YouTube series, The Backrooms Found Footage, which started gaining popularity in 2022, so 5 years ago. He shot this last year. He was 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's 20 now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think as well. Yeah. Like, and the film's done, like, really successful, and it was only last year, the end of last year, I was listening to somebody on a podcast. They were saying that barely anyone has gone to the theatre, but people have come to the theatre to go and see Obsession, Backrooms, Project Hail Mary, like, and somebody made a good point about Backrooms. You know, I think some people are kind of worried about bringing in young directors because they're not going to give the audience what they think they want, but this guy has clearly proved many of the producers and studios incorrect, because this film's done really well, and I went to see it and it was phenomenal. I went, me and my friend said the sound, the music, it was so creepy and eerie. It was so well done. And I knew about Backrooms of the YouTube channel that he did, and the game and everything. so was kind of a fan. I didn't really fully understand the world and the lore, but the film was great. I thought it definitely done justice.
So
to
it's worth running the numbers.
what he had done before.
The budget for Backrooms was somewhere in the region of £10 million. And 1 week after opening, which is when we're recording this, it's grossed over 126 million. So that's phenomenal. Wow. And to pick up your point about the audience he's bringing in the audience, or this film is bringing in the audience that filmmakers want. They're bringing in the youngsters, the teenagers and the people in their early 20s, because they've followed him from YouTube. So this is a great thing for the film industry. A young director who's bringing a large newish audience into movie theatres, which, as you quite rightly said, are not traditional cinema users. And also, I think it's worth saying that Backrooms, whilst it's got one or two well-known people in it, the cast is very small, and it's not got your Hollywood A-listers necessarily, which I think is a great step. Which then brings us on to Obsession, the other movie you mentioned earlier on. If we run the numbers straight up for this one, the budget for this movie was $750,000, so less than $1 million. And the box office gross to date worldwide, and this was released 3 weeks ago, the box office worldwide is $161 million. That is a phenomenal return. It's Obsession has a Rotten Tomatoes critics percent of 95 and a popcorn meter of 94%. So it's doing phenomenal on the website there. And maybe I'm out of touch, but I didn't recognise one person in it. So it's a brand new young cast. Again, it's bringing that young audience into the theatre. This is based on... it was made for under 1 million, I'm reading this now, by YouTube prankster Curry Barker, known for his viral horror comedy series Milk and Cereal. Again, he's migrating an audience from YouTube, which traditionally has been the enemy of cinema.
Yeah. No, so true. Like, people were, I mean, people who said like 10 years ago, YouTube's gonna become really big. Everyone's gonna start watching YouTube. And where I think that's partially true, like people kind of do watch YouTube a lot more still. Like some people kind of watch YouTube still like over watching TV. But now you've got YouTubers and content creators who, like these two directors who make films and are filmmakers, are now coming from YouTube and going into putting films in cinemas. I mean, Obsession has made more money, and I'm a big fan of Star Wars, but it's made it's absolutely crushed Star Wars, and that's I don't think you can actually think of almost a bigger IP than Star Wars is top 5, if that, IPs. I think that's just really impressive. Star Wars has a massive following. And
it's probably worth mentioning that this particular Star Wars movie is the worst performing at the box office.
Yeah. I have gone and seen it, and I can see why. But yeah, it wasn't bad. It's not a bad film. It's just okay. It's very forgettable. I did do a review on it on my YouTube channel, but
yeah, get the plug in, Dooner. Get the plug in.
It's just okay. Yeah, I'll just throw that in there. I have posted. No, I'm joking. It was good. it was a good film. It just.
But was it a film?
It's just one. It's you know what the way I. No, well, some people have kind of said yes, it's a film in theory, but people have kind of said it's almost like a long. It's almost like everything condensed, like a series condensed into a film. That's kind of how people have explained it. So is it a film? Yes, but it feels like a series. Even when I was watching it, I thought this feels like a series.
The other great thing,
Kind of.
the other great thing about Obsession and Backrooms that we've been talking about is their original stories. And whilst I'm sure, because they've been so successful, they will spawn cinematic universes of some kind, it just shows there is still an appetite for people that want original stories, and not sequels and reboots and rehashes. Maybe we should mention that later this month we're getting Scary Movie 6.
Yes, although I am excited for that. But yeah, that's what I mean. Is people want original stories. The problem is that cast or studios, apart from, you know what, well, I say most studios, but I commend A24 because they've always delivered a lot of original stories. I really like that studio. But a lot of studios are they run like businesses now, and I think that's kind of the sad element. That's the problem. They just see what makes money. Oh, doing, I don't know, Toy Story 5, and then 5 years later it'll be Toy Story 12. Like,
but maybe
generate a lot of money.
Maybe this is going to show the way forward. You don't have to pay the big bucks to have a massive star. You don't have to have an IP from a film in the 90s or from a comic book. And if you're only spending, it's still a lot of money, but if you're only spending $1 million or less, you can take a risk on somebody new. So hopefully this will engender a whole slew of smaller, more interesting, I would say star-free. I get fed up with watching films and it's the same people in the films again and again. I just get tired of them. Something else I also briefly want to mention is both these films. Backrooms runs at 1 hour 50 minutes and Obsession runs at 1 hour 48 minutes, which is probably, for me, the maximum I want to spend watching a film. These 3.5 hour epics can do one. Honestly, if you can't tell a decent,
I know what you mean.
If you can't tell a decent story in less than 2 hours, you have no business telling a story.
Yeah, it's you know what though, like it's actually like people say to me, I don't know, it's like a 2.5 hour film, and I'm like, that just feels like the norm now. Like 2.5 hours just feels like the standard runtime of a film, which is crazy. Like, people don't want to sit there for 2.5 hours all the time.
No, it's too much. And that's why these films cost so much as well. Because you've got often 2.5 hours of minimal amount of reality and a maximum amount of AI, which we know costs potentially a fortune. This is great. I couldn't be happier. And it's interesting as well to tie this in with what we're doing on this podcast. It's interesting that the films that are more successful at the moment seem to be from the horror genre.
Yeah. Horrors, over the years, horror has become just bigger and it has expanded so much. And like they were even saying that at ScareCon, I think Michael Bolton, who runs the ScareCon, he was saying, Halloween is every year grows and grows. And he said, like, you're seeing so many more new scare attractions and, you know, groups of smaller startup companies doing their scare events. And he said there's so many, you know, now. He said when it started, there was so few, really, where there's so many now. I think that's really great. Yeah, I think it's great that this genre has expanded in all aspects, really. You know, even that event Halloween itself.
And apart from a couple of maybe notable exceptions, they seem to be returning and doing quite well. Maybe we will devote an episode at some point to talking about the exceptions and what's failed recently or over the last couple of years, because I think that's interesting as well to have a look at that, and why, and where we are now with all that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have.
Yeah.
We've gone on enough, my dear Dooner. Should we just ask for contributions? If anyone has anything they would like to share with us, that would be great. I'm not saying we're short on content, but never say no. So if anyone's got any scare attraction stories, maybe some confessions that they might want to share, that could be quite interesting to talk about and hear about. Maybe if anyone's got any mazes or scare attractions, some fantasy scare attractions they'd like to see, what would be your ideal scare attraction? And then I guess randomly any questions you've got that you think we can answer, or that we can get in touch with people that can answer. It will be very obvious by now that we clearly don't know much about anything. So we're happy to get some experts in to take the pressure off. So yeah, get in touch. There'll be a link somewhere. Have a look. And so what are our key takeaways from this first podcast, Dooner?
Well, yeah, I think I mean, as you said, we're not short of content, but I mean, there's so much even in this episode that I feel like we could break up into separate episodes. Like, I mean, AI integration, you know, how is that going to change the scare industry and all that? Like, that's a massive topic. You know, all the horror films, all the scare attractions, all the events. I think there's so much to talk about, and I think following what you said, Loz, I think it'd just be great to hear from what people also want to hear as well. That's kind of what we want to sort of make this podcast. Really, we want to know what people kind of want to talk about more in the scare industry, and we want to, I suppose, help expand it, I guess, in the way it's already going. So yeah.
And yes, agree with all that. And before we sign off, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to say, name me your scare attraction cliche of the week. What is overused, overdone,
cliche of the week,
and you can do without in future?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know what? I feel like if you asked me maybe a few years ago, I probably would have said a corny pre-show. But no, I kind of started to kind of like them. But sometimes a corny pre-show, like where you kind of walk in, you're kind of like, this pre-show's gone on for like 10 minutes now. I'm ready to go in and get scared. But a corny cliche. You know what? I'll go with a corny pre-show. Like yeah. I think we could. I think people want to sometimes just go into a maze and just the action just it's happening. No warm up, no lead on, just bam, you're in.
Well, we'll revisit cliche of the week in the forthcoming episodes as well. We'll give you more time to think next time.
Yeah, I'll have a think about that one. But yeah, what about you? Do you have a cliche that you could do without?
Dooner, I have so many. Oh,
really?
Oh, yeah,
gosh.
yeah. I mean, overused in scare attractions, but in the horror genre in general. I'm going to kick off. I don't think this is controversial, but there will be people that don't agree. But I'm going to kick off and say chainsaws. I'm done. I'm done with chainsaws.
Okay, yeah. But they are effective. They're like they always get a good scare. But they're always that scare that you think, you know what, this person hasn't been scared the entire maze, and the chainsaw tends to get them.
No, you're wrong. Obviously, you hear them in the distance, and the name of the maze is Texas-y, chainsaw-y something, and you just think, oh, come on, we can do better than this. There's
wood lumberer.
I mean, I'm avoiding naming actual ones, but or tell me, come up, people out there in podcast land, tell me the best way to use a chainsaw for the best reaction. Convince me that it's not a cliche, because at the moment I'm done. But that's just one. I've got plenty more.
You know, that is a big that is a big thing though. I think there is like a real sort of knack to getting a good scare with a chainsaw. Like there are better ways to do it. But yeah, you got to have like this sense of out of control, but you are in control. Like that freaks people out.
No, well, I've not seen it done that well at all, sadly.
Damn. I'll get a chainsaw next week and I'll show it. I'll show it on the camera and I'll escape.
Well, so that's that. It was fairly painless. I hope you enjoyed listening, and who knows, maybe you'll tune in again and listen again, and as I say, get in touch. It'll be great to hear from you. Your final words, Dooner.
Stay in touch. Like, we're going to talk a lot, and yeah, I'm quite excited about this podcast. But thank you for watching, and may autocorrect forever be in your favour.
They're not watching. They're not watching.
Oh,
it's a podcast.
They're listening. But they're watching in spirit.
No, that doesn't work.
All right, cheers for listening.
And
guys.
on that note, we may or we may not have your attention again. In the meantime, have a great week. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.